What's up, y'all? It's Marcus. Today we're going to finish this edit on the Kendra file. The raw file will be in the description below. We did the eyes last week. I'll link that video below, and we're going to finish the whole thing out this week. And you can go to prophotoedits.com. You can download our Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions so you can follow right along. So in this week's video, we're going to finish this edit off. Last week we did the eyes with my Photoshop actions, and you can see we took them from there to there, and I'll put that video link in the description down below, and you can download this raw file as well in the description and follow along with us. And we've already put a Lightroom preset in the video previously of my pack on here to kind of tone it a little bit and fix everything. And then we're going to fix it today with the rest of my Photoshop actions to show you guys how to use them. And these are obviously included in my bundle with prophotoedits.com. So let's get into it. Alright, so here's the entire image, guys, and this is a 105mm 1.4 on the Z7. Really doesn't matter what camera you're using or lens. This is just a retouching video using my actions. So the eyes are already done. I don't typically work in that order, but the first thing I do here is, and this will be kind of a longer video, I guess, but I want to show you guys what I do, and then I'll speed it up as I'm getting done. So any areas like this where there's like a little blemish or mark that I don't want, I'm not even sure that's a blemish, I go and I grab the patch tool, and this is very easy to do on a shallow depth of field portrait. You just grab it, drag it, grab it, drag it, and I do this around every area where I have issues with the skin, you know, and it's just small issues, but at the end of the day you would much rather do this and try to paint over it. You don't want your I know there's an Instagram style of editing, and you know we all get asked to do it at times and stuff like that, but if you want to do like a beauty edit, I would stay away from painting over the skin very much at all, because it can be, you know, it just looks kind of fake and terrible. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, styles change and stuff changes. You don't want your images to look just ridiculous and cheap. So let's just do it like this. I'm gonna speed this up. I'm gonna grab all of these little blemishes and just drag them to another area that the skin isn't blemished, and then let go, and it'll look good when we're done. Okay, so we're done with that part, the patch part. Now I typically don't remove every single issue because I mean Kendra's skin is really amazing anyway, but you don't want your people to start looking fake. So let's just go with before, after. So we've removed all of that stuff, and the image is pretty nice already. You know, her skin is flawless. So here's the thing, if someone has lines around their mouth, which I mean everybody does, you can make a judgment call on that, and I'll duplicate this layer in case I don't want to go with this, but you can actually drag these out. Don't paint over them or anything crazy like that, and just drag them over to the side here, and then you can get rid of those. Now this is a judgment call on your part to see how perfect do you want someone's skin to look. I can't make that decision for you. The further you go with this type of stuff, the more fake people start to look. So you just have to kind of decide. What you can do is put on its own separate layer like we just did, and then bring the opacity down, and it'll bring them back in just a touch, you know, so they're not all the way gone, all the way there. I'm gonna pull them out a little bit because as we get going, you know, I want this image to look a certain way. Alright, so now we'll do the frequency separation, and we'll do this just sparingly, super sparingly. Alright, so I'll show you how to run this. You just hit play and run it, and then it's gonna give you a prompt right here. Now look at the eyes, and now as I adjust this ratio up to like 15, that's way too much. If I go down to like 8, I would say you could get away with 9 on this image. You want the eyes to look kind of like a painting, but not so far gone that it just is smeary. So that's probably good. And then you run it, and it's going to put this into that's a folder right here, PPE, frequency separation. Click on this lower frequency level right here. Go over here and get your lasso tool. Now whatever you chose in that first dialog box, you need to choose it up here too. But we go with 9, so I want my feather to be 9 on this tool, and that's going to make the way it blends when you choose this area and put your Gaussian blur on there, match the same. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just going to match. It's going to look good, trust me. you don't want them to be totally different. All right, so this is where things get, you know, tricky and weird. You have to just less is more. You see, as I keep going up, and the skin will start to get crazy, and
Barbie doll and just ridiculous. The next step we're gonna do is gonna fix these issues in a natural way. So I ever so slightly do this because I want it to be done quickly and not over the top, like 2.6. I just don't like this look. It gives you a nice shallow depth of field look if you run it in a way where you can barely pick up on it. You just kind of want to feel it instead of see it. So go back up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur once you select your area. I usually do forehead, both sides of the face, and nose. Nose only if it's and still in focus, because sometimes you get a shallow depth of field portrait, the nose is already started to be going out of focus. You don't want to add on to that. You can drag it over if you don't get it completely right. Gaussian blur again. I usually stick with the same number. We'll do this little chin area that we haven't done, and I'm just gonna go up to filter and hit the top one because it's gonna keep my same exact settings. And I'll do the nose on this one. And what I'll do is, for this, I'll go to blur, Gaussian blur, and then bring these down to even less, like 1/8. You can see we don't need anything here. This is already so far out of focus, it's not going to make a difference one way or the other. So I wouldn't really do that area down there, because if you're worried about fixing colors and making a match, there's a better way to do that. So now inside this folder, you have your frequency separation. YouTube's probably not going to pick that up because it's such a minute amount that I did, but you'll be able to see once you do it on your end. Alright, so now let's get to the cool stuff. Skin perfection. Run this action. Okay, hit the prompt. Sometimes it gives you errors that aren't really errors, and it's going to tell you all about this, but I'm going to tell you how to do it. So this is your skin perfection layer. This is your black and white layer. We'll turn that off when we're done. This is just our helper layer that's going to help us see where the issues are. You see, when you're looking at this right here, you can't really see how the dynamics kind of fall and the gradients fall from one lighter to darker, and you want those to match a certain amount, not till it starts to look fake, unless that's the look you're going for. So now we can really see, once we're looking with this on, we can see that this is way darker, this is lighter, and we can fix these gradients. So on the layer below that, your gray layer, your mask right here, you want to go over and grab your brush. White is going to make the dark areas brighter, and black is going to make the light areas darker. I usually underexpose, so I don't really mess with the darks. I usually just keep the white brush, and then I set it on 70% opacity, 1% flow. Some people do 60. I usually do 70 because I get away with it pretty easily. And you just start right up here where you see this is darker, this is lighter, this is darker under the eyes, and you just little strokes, and it's gonna make when you have your opacity at 70 and your flow at 1%, you're really going to be able to get away with a lot. You can just draw a little at a time. You don't want it to be really digging in. You don't want to see it. You want to slowly build that gradient. Now follow this video along, and here in a minute I'm going to turn this off and on, and you'll see the difference we made. Now you can see that we're already in a very purposefully way making this match. It's not going to be so jarring when we go from the highlight to the dark spot over here. And this is just natural light, no reflector, so this is actually very good sunset lighting right here, but you're always going to have this issue. Now, as we have right here on this part of the nose, we can go in here and fix these areas right here on the sides of the nose. This is the longest part of the process. When I'm editing portrait, this is the part that probably takes me 10 minutes, depending on the lighting and the pose and everything like that, and how far I want to go, because I don't like for my stuff necessarily to look fake. I mean, sometimes the skin issues are worse than others, and you have to do certain things. There's no way around that. But on this image, I'm not trying to go over the top. You can always back it down once you're done and pull the opacity down, but there's dark lines over here, there's dark areas here. You want to leave some darker areas on the sides of the nose, because you don't want the image to look flat once you're done. You just want the areas that are lighter to darker to transition in a way
that you kind of just see it naturally fade into the shadows. You don't want highlight, dark spot, highlight, dark spot. And then once we turn the helper layer off, you'll see what we did. So I'm gonna speed this up. I'm gonna kind of draw under these dark spots under the eyes until they start to blend in with the highlights, and then I'll see you in a sec. So over here on the sides of the mouth and underneath the mouth here, you want to do the same thing. Alright, so let's zoom out and let's take this on and off, and you can see if we take the dark layer on and off, we can see what we did. You see that? That's the power of that action, and I just wanted to walk you guys through that. I'm gonna zoom in here more and let you see. This is let's go to like 55%. This is a very natural way to do that. See, before, after, before, after, before, after. And she doesn't look like an alien. And this whole helper layer up here helped us zero in on where all the darker issues were. Now you see, there's still darker issues. I could keep going until all this is flat, and then you'd have an alien picture. So some people need more help than others, you know what I mean? But I typically like to leave a little bit of gradient there because people are people, and I want to make them look like that. So alright, that's the skin perfection action that I made in my pack, and give it some time and really master it, and you'll be super satisfied with your results. Let's zoom back out and I'll show you before, after, before, after. Alright, so the next step that I generally do is dodging method 2. Run that action, and now this is like, remember, less is more. That's our whole thing. You run that action. All these have prompts and they'll tell you what to do, but I'm going to walk you through it. You can watch this video as many times as you want. It's going to select this dodge tool for you, and it's going to select all the range, the shadows, exposure to 5%. All that's going to be selected for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so what you want to do right here is, you see how her nose has highlights. You want to kind of draw the focus in, and this is like a method of dodging, you know. I don't burn too much because contrast can make things look a little bit weird. I like to dodge. So what I do is I start in the middle of the forehead, 1, 2. Every time you see my bracket getting smaller and smaller, and actually my brush tool, I'm using the bracket keys, making it bigger, smaller. So first swipe, be bigger. Second swipe, smaller. Second swipe, the third swipe, smaller. And just start again on the nose. 1, 2, 3. I don't go too crazy under the eyes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You don't want to get nutty with this. Do a little bit here and on the chin. You want to kind of follow the lighting pattern, but I always do forehead, under eyes, nose, chin. I do lips, a couple passes, top of the lips there, and I do it under the eye, or top of the eyebrows, under the eyebrows, sorry, and then the top of the eyebrows like once, just a little bit, and then you can look at it. I do like one on the neck, one down the center of the chest, and then I'll hit the hair too, wherever the highlights are in the hair. I typically like to go sideways when I'm doing the highlights on the hair, because I think it just looks more natural. But this is the part where you can really go into Instagram territory, and I don't typically like to do that too much. I'm just showing you for different areas or different forums that you may want to post this on, or just your look. You maybe like the Instagram edit, maybe you like the more natural. Sparingly. You see before, after, before, after. I will grab this and I will turn this down a bit, just a bit, because I don't want it to look too intense. And I'll probably hit this area here and flatten this out just a touch more, and between the eyes flatten that out just a touch more. And I can already see that this is getting to look really perfect. And sometimes perfect isn't good. Sometimes perfect is like, my goodness, dude, this is a Barbie doll now, you know what I mean? So you have to like back away and look at it, and you can always save it as a PSD in Photoshop so you can go back and fix it later. That looks really good the longer you look at it. I think I did a good job with that. I'm at 53%. That'll look great once we're done with everything. So let's go right along. Next one down the list, PPE pink skin tones. So I like to use this action, and you can see once I run it, it's a LUT, and it brings out the shadows a little bit more, adds a little bit more dynamic range, plays on the dynamic range a bit, but I bring it way down to like 5%. I just barely like it in there. And then dodge and burn, I'll walk you through that, even though I don't burn so much because it adds so much contrast. But on this, I don't do any dodging. I just do burning. So run that action, get your brush tool. I like to set it to 8% on opacity, 100% flow. Black is going to burn. I go down the sides of the nose one time just to add a little bit of depth there, under the nostrils once, under the lip. We already did the eyes. I don't really do the eyebrows too much. You might want to go in the hairline one time. Under the chin is the biggest area that I focus on because it adds depth to the face right there. And maybe in between, sorry, I didn't go too far down there. You can hit even smaller here on the shoulder bones, but I typically do this, turn it off, turn it on, and then decide what I want. I turn it down maybe to like 60-some%. The more you keep messing with it, this is gonna start making this look really, really perfect. So use your own judgment there. This PPE cheeks pop, run that, and if you like rosy cheeks, just click on this black mask here. Get your brush tool. You can set it to 100 and 100% opacity, 100% flow. Make your brush like big and round. Hit the cheeks, pop it on there one time. Pop it on there one time. Oh, sorry. I need to change my color to white because the mask is black. So I'll change my color to white. Pop it on there once. Pop it on there once. Now her cheeks are a little bit blushy. It matches a little bit better. And then I'll pull that down opacity wise to about half, because you know, too much is just too much. So what I want to do right here is go to shadow toning. Actually, first let's do this. Let's go to contrast pop. Run that. It's just going to pop your contrast. I did a nice curve here for you. You see before, after. Added a real good amount of contrast. It didn't really ruin the dynamic range or make the blacks too crunchy. I bring that down a little bit, and then you can run PPE color pop to bring out the colors a little bit more. And then you do that, and it's bringing out the colors a touch, too much for me, and I bring that down because I want this to be sort of a pastel edit, but still somewhat punchy. And I'll show you right now how you get the kind of washed out, I'm gonna say washed out look. I don't know how I'd like to describe this, but the shadows, we're gonna tone the shadows, and this is gonna give your image a faded look, but it's gonna apply it only to the shadows, and you're gonna have control over what color you put in the shadows. So if you're new to this, just watch this video in parts. And I know I'm going through this kind of quick, but people hate long videos, so I'm going through this at a pace where you can just watch it again and again. Once you open this folder here, all these colors are going to be turned on. Just click the eyeball, turn them all off, right? Okay, so what I usually like to do on the shadows is up here it created a mask, and it only is going to apply this to the darker areas, the shadows. I usually like blue. I have blue selected for you. You can choose any color you want. You can choose gold if you want. You can choose brown. It's all, you know, art is whatever you want it to be. But I like to use blues, and you can sort of tell that this is giving it that kind of washed out, vintage, dreamy, I would say dreamy look, which is really an awesome look to have. So you can pull the opacity down if it's too much for you. Pull it up, and you see this not just like laying it over top of the image, it's really digging in to the blacks. So it just depends on what you want to do. Pull it way up, pull it down. I just like to leave mine around like depending on the image, 14, 15, 12%. I don't go crazy. Okay, 2 more steps here and we're done. Complete image toning. Now run that. Click on this. It's going to be the same deal, except for it's not going to apply it to the shadows. It's going to be to the whole image. Open up the folder, Turn all these colors off. I set it up like this for you so you'd have all these colors picked. You won't have to run it or make your own every time. I typically go with yellow toning for pretty much all ethnicities, all colors of skin. You turn that on and off, and you see how it gives the skin a glow. Now click on this color, double click, and it's going to pull up your color picker. And what I generally do is I slide this color up to here, up in this general area when I have a backlit image. And now it's going to give us that nice warm glow. And it already changed your blending mode up here to soft light. Off, on, off, on. And you can bounce between soft light and overlay depending on the lighting in your image. They're somewhat the same. Overlay gives you more of a dreamy look. Soft light, I think, kind of dodges it in there a little bit more for more of a punchy look. For this image, I would probably go with overlay and bring it down to like 4%. All right, so one more step, and this is really quick and you'll be done. Stage sharpening. Now this is going to take a second. I'm going to run this. Now this is going to sharpen your image systematically on 4 different levels, from the darkest areas being the least sharp to the brightest areas, usually focusing on the eyes, sharpening up a bit. And then don't touch any of the layers. You'll see once this is done running, don't touch any of the layers by themselves. You just have a master opacity slider, and you slide it all together because it's set up perfectly for you here. All right, it's getting ready to be finished. It's moving right along, moving right along. Come on, buddy. All right, hit continue, and we open this folder up, stage sharpening. 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of different amounts of sharpening. Don't worry about that. Keep this folder closed. Now I'm just going to zoom in here so I can show you what's going on a level that YouTube will pick up. I'm going to click this whole folder off, and you look at the eyes. You see off, on is off. it's a delay going on, and it just brings it into focus a bit more. And if it's too much for you, pull it down a bit. It's just a bit. The ever so slightly is what you want to do. A bunch of little steps is going to get you the result you want. So let's go back out to 25%. And all right, you guys, so I've grouped everything all together in a group right here, and I'm going to turn it off and on to show you everything that we've done. Remember, we fixed the eyes in the last video, so I'll turn this off. That's how we came in. That's how we fixed everything with all our steps that I just walked you through. Off, on. So hopefully this helps, and if you went too far on any one of these actions, you can go in here and adjust the opacity for everything. But until next time, guys, it's Marcus. I love you. I hope this helps you. See you in next week's video. We're going to go behind the scenes and shoot some more.